Hi, I'm Wendy Stone, your host and reader for Storytime. Tonight we'll be starting Dog Upon Atlas, a noir detective fiction following Deacon Tawnyside, a crusty private investigator who, as of yet, is unaware of his mongrel status. And while Deacon is busy closing cases, he stumbles upon a deep state plan that stinks of a civil war that would pit mongrel against clan. Let's get started. Chapter 1. Six missing dogs, unsolved cases, every one of them. As a private investigator, it was embarrassing. As a dog, it was shameful. And I had the best nose in the 5 boroughs. Yeah, right. I had a single clue linking my missing dogs, the black van. After getting a tip from one of my street dogs that afternoon, I'd found the van parked outside the Pick and Carry near Prospect Park. From Brooklyn to Manhattan, they'd made a slow trip, stopping every so often, sometimes getting out, sometimes not, like they were running errands instead of starting a war. From under a hotel awning, I watched down the long city block, the van parked and quiet at the next intersection, the 4 dogs within, once again, waiting. What were they waiting for? Another dog to snatch? And what was their end game? I was wet from nose to tail from the drizzling fall rains, my fur smelling like a damp, fresh carcass. I was hungry and thirsty. But this was it. Payday. I would close a case today, maybe more than one. The van fired its lights and took off from the curb. I ran full pace up the avenue, the van running unseen parallel to my left. I slid to an ungraceful stop on the wet cement at the next intersection, waiting again. But the van had yet to emerge. Had I missed them? I put my nose to the air and inhaled. Nothing. But the night air stank thick with city tourists in the blanket of recent ozone. When I reached the next intersection, panic gripped me. The black van was nowhere in sight. Stop. We're cutting this. But it was dark, the streets extra dark, as the wetness camouflaged up from down. Thing could have been right in front of me. The van zoomed past me, blowing my ears back, banking a hard left at the corner. All right, where are you going? There was nothing at the end of the block but Central Park, and they were speeding down the road, intent on going through it. Instead of doing that, they turned north, smack dab into oncoming traffic. They were panicking. I'd been made. Like my life depended on it, I huffed it to 5th and banged a hard right, skidding off the sidewalk and into the street. The van lay dead ahead, weaving in and out of traffic, rocking on its wheels. After a rash of honks and dogs yipping to get out of its way, after more hard jerks of the wheel, the van careened and crashed into an oak tree. Traffic paused. Noses and eyes lifted to the scene. I carefully crossed to the sidewalk near the park and stopped half a block down. 4 dogs burst from within the van, shaking themselves, coughing and spitting. I turned my nose to the air again. The stench of blood and 5-day-old hide sweat, the kind you get from being on the run. It was them. The dirty mongrels. Oh, I growled under my breath. That freaking word. Out of the pack, a heated conversation floated down the street with one dog standing taller, meaner, and barking. It was Roxy, the leader, my big girl. She must have caught me staring or scented the nervous markers I was throwing out. I smelled like a dog entering the doctor's office for the first time. But I was determined, ready for a fight. Well, how do you like that? Instead of running toward me, they split, rats abandoning a ship. I trotted to the van and poked my head inside. Cages lined the thing from top to bottom on each side. And damn, each one empty but smelling like pure fear. Think, Deacon, think. The leader, the big girl, Roxy, I could still have her. She'd entered Central Park, so I hopped the wall and put my schnoz to the ground, picking it up after only 2 or 3 passes. Her scent, bergamot and magnolia, billowing like a beautiful sail. After a few more passes on the ground, and following a sense that I trusted more than all others combined, I spotted her. that long, scent-heavy tail dragging the dirt. She'd been bold, trotting straight down the trail running alongside the avenue. "Hiya, Roxy. Miss me?" I whispered, watching that tail pick up and toss dust as it nervously twitched in her too casual trot. But she was officially imprinted. I wouldn't lose her again, no matter how fast she ran or where she went. Her muzzle jerked upward, her head tossed back. Damn, she could smell me. She knew I was behind her, and off she went, into a full gallop through the trees. For a few minutes we ran, her zigzagging in and out of the trees and brush, trying to lose me, my feet heavier and heavier with mud as we trampled through soggy ground and beat grasses. We reached the edges of the ramble, and a strange sound echoed through the woods. Oh no, I thought. It's Sunday. The realization came too late. As I burst through a tight crop of dogwood trees right on her tail, I saw the elk, knocking her over, then coming straight at me. Holy shit, I flattened in the mud as the old bull thrust, my eyes tracking his belly as he jumped clean over me, the dogs behind him on the chase, running around me like I was a stone in a river, screaming and yelling. "Hey, idiot, get out of the park!" Central Park was closed for hunts on Sundays. I scrambled to my feet as she scrambled to hers. My Roxy led us out of the ramble and back onto the trails. I caught up with her as she left the park, heading west on the middle of 82nd, getting screamed, barked, and honked at as we ignored every vehicle, light, and lazy window-shopping tourist. A few minutes later, we'd gone as far as we could. She'd run onto a short pier, skidding to a halt at the end, looking down over the chains. "Whoa, whoa, whoa. Nowhere to go, sweetheart. Come on now, let's just have a little chat," I said, removing the sedative patch from the front pocket of my paunch. "Just take your medicine like a good doggy. Oh, hey, hey, hey!" She turned, snarling, showing me big, white, sharp teeth. And with that maw wide open and slick, she came. I ducked, planned on sticking that patch right into her tummy when she made a wide circle beside me. Oh no, Roxy, don't you do it. My feet pounded the pier. The wood planks vibrated with our chase. I got close. I reached out. The patch brushed her back right foot, but in a slow motion reel, I saw only the bottoms of her feet and heard the scream. "Death to the bloodlines!" And she was gone, after making a running leap off the end of the pier. What the hell? I slung to the edge, seeing the white crest on the top of her head. My Roxy, she was alive and swimming. "Where you going, Roxy? Back to Brooklyn? It's a long swim. Have fun in the Hell Gate." It was fall. The water wasn't cold enough to kill her, but the obstructions coming down the East River might. Bah! This night sucked. I trotted back to the van. There had to be something in it, something I could use to locate my missing dogs. A scrap of paper with a clue to the location of the gang's hidey hole. A name, an address. I didn't even have Roxy as a solid. I'd gotten the name from a street dog paid in bison wraps. I slipped inside the cavern of the van's fear-soaked aroma. At first glance, I saw nothing but tufts of fur, stuck in the craggy parts of the cages that ran floor to ceiling. I ran my schnoz open-mouthed over the line of metal gridwork, inhaling deeply. Oh, for the love of... The whole thing stank with a complex mixture of 24 scents, the strongest of which smelled like rotten sweet potato pie, my gang imprint. It ruffled my fur, and I caught a faint drift of something I hadn't scented in years, the 6 Points district. This was worse than anything I'd imagined. Without seeing, without hearing, the scents told the story. Unfortunately, the imprints of my 6 missing dogs were not present. Hell, maybe the stench was covering them up. Hello? I nearly left orbit as a single peep crept from the stifled aroma of the cavern. It came from a dog lying between the passenger and driver's seat on the floor. I approached slowly, seeing it was a girl with brown and tawny fur with ginger-colored tips. A big girl, but too skinny, ribs too prominent, skin showing in all the wrong places. Was this one of my gang members? "Hey, you all right? What's your name?" Mr. Tawnyside, she gasped. Is that you? I bent closer and sniffed. Holy bones, Jomi? Jomi Stronghawk? Jomi was the daughter of my best friend. Admittedly, a best friend I hadn't seen in over a year. And his daughter, even longer. Jomi, what the hell are you doing in here? I can't believe it, she whispered. I can't believe you found me. Jomi, what were you doing with these dogs? What happened to you? Mr. Tawnyside, you have to listen to me. Listen? Me? To words? Not possible. My other senses consumed her. The odd smell that permeated the van's interior was strongest over her. She had small, paw-sized patches of missing fur everywhere, with the skin of those patches blistered and yellow. Her body shook with nearly perfectly timed tremors, like she was having a series of small seizures. The pads of my paw caressed gently over her shaking, bony form, and I flinched. I hated it that I flinched. Jomi was like a daughter to me. But the worst injury, Jomi had blood around her neck. I gently probed the area and found bite wounds. Someone had taken a chunk from my best friend's daughter, and she'd been bleeding for a while. I could smell it, death approaching. Sirens blared in the distance. Jomi, you hear that? Someone's coming, all right? I said, stroking the fur back from her eyes. You hang on, all right? Help is coming. She roughly brushed my paw away. There's no time for that. I'm so glad you're here. I don't know how you found me. I wouldn't dare argue with her or tell her that I'd not been searching for her, but the others. I didn't even know she was missing. Her paws, jerking and convulsing, reached into her paunch and pulled out a bundle, shoving it at me. Take it. I unfurled it, seeing a dark blue shirt with gold letters embroidered at the lapel. TF, I read. What does this mean, Jomi? Did those dogs do this to you? At least, if I couldn't save Jomi, I could make the dog pay who'd bitten her. That doesn't matter, she choked. Listen, Mr. Tawnyside, it's time. It's time you got involved. Involved with what? Help her, Mr. Tawnyside. Help her. I bent closer. Help who? Her lips curled as she struggled with the word. Fairyview. Her beautiful amber-colored eyes and long black lashes fluttered a few times, then stopped cold. Fairyview, I asked. Is that a name? Is that a last name? Jomi? Jomi! I felt for a pulse just under her dew-claw. Nothing. I performed CPR. For how many minutes? I lost count. I was only injuring her further. I stopped. Hey, what's going on in here? A voice said over my shoulder. My head turned like I was underwater. You're a cop. Get an ambulance. He stared at Jomi, open-mouthed, tongue lolling. Now, I growled.